Educate, inform, inspire. The Dan Parsons Show, a podcast that lifts up instead of tearing down.
Hey, welcome back to the Dan Parsons Show. I'm your host, Dan Parsons. Just an abbreviated show today to give an update on health and scheduling and a tribute to longtime editor of the Lincoln Journal-Star, Mr. Dave Bundy. So you may have seen on social media, a week ago today, on President's Day no less, I had an emergency surgery to repair a prior hernia operation. My heartfelt apologies to our planned guests for last week. An update on schedule in a moment. But I just wanted to express my gratitude to the exceptional staff at Bryan Hospital and to friends of Dan, Ryan, Beth, and Chef Kevin Shin for the ambulance ride and care. So after a week of recovery at home, I'm back at the Fuse studio and Parsons PR headquarters in the heart of the Haymarket in the greatest city in America, Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm ready to dive back in and uphold truth over tribalism. Speaking of truth, here's what we've got coming up on the show the rest of this week. Krista Eggers, the unstoppable force behind Nebraskans for Medical Marijuana, will join us for an update on where things stand on enacting the law that voters overwhelmingly approved last fall to provide medical cannabis to those who qualify with a physician's approval and care. It probably won't surprise you that there are still shenanigans going on here in our state to deny the will of the people. So tune in for that interview with Krista. Also joining us this week is Dan Osborne, the upstart independent industrial mechanic who shocked the political world last year by nearly pulling off the upset of the century, coming within just 6 points of beating two-term GOP U.S. Senator Deb Fischer. There's lots of rumors out there about Dan's next political move, but we'll talk to the source. So don't miss that interview with Dan later this week. And as a bonus, don't miss a new episode of the Friday Afternoon Club this week. Chef Kevin is AWOL this week. Some cigar and rum junket to Central America, believe it or not. Why the hell I'm not on that trip, I guess I don't know. But we'll have a special guest co-host for this Friday's show. So don't miss it. And finally, I want to give my deepest condolences to the family, friends, and colleagues of Dave Bundy, who spent 13 years as the editor of the Lincoln Journal-Star. After a long battle with a rare form of cancer, Dave died yesterday, Sunday. He was only 57. Here's a short excerpt from my interview with Dave just before the elections last fall.
And it's these individual conversations where, I've got people who certainly disagree with the editorial board's politics. The editorial, and again, there's this notion that the editorial board has politics. We've got very different people on the board, and when we and we've done it on purpose because we need those perspectives. And when we write what I like to call as a wishy-washy editorial, it's often because we're trying to navigate a consensus. These are the important issues to people from the perspectives of our editorial board. And it's I look forward to being very healthy and very involved the next election cycle. And I'll talk to the letter writers before I make that final decision. But I love the opinion page. It's a smart person's page. I think that the more local voices we have on it, the better. And Sunday's paper, for example, we had a whole open page of letters to the editor, 126 column inches, and that tells me people got a lot to say, and people complain about those letters and respond to them. People care what other people think. But within that paper, there's got to be a place where people can say what they think. So I always see a role for the opinion page if it had more local voices and fewer nationally syndicated columnists, I'd be okay with that.
By the way, that interview with Dave was very popular with our listeners and viewers. And no wonder. Dave Bundy was not only an excellent journalist and editor, he had an incredible difficult job, especially in this era of depleted newsrooms and disagreements from some on what constitutes facts in journalism. But by all who knew him, Dave had a great sense of humor, even in the face of death. He was a great family person and just an overall very fine human. Because of the work I do in public relations, I've had the very fine fortune of seeing his work and his character firsthand. You'll be missed, Dave. Okay, that's today's show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you for our great lineup for the rest of the week. Until then, go do good things. I'm Dan Parsons.